And there you go, straight out of the gate. The Sentinels do not want to have to deal with Reggie on TF once again. Those wild cards, a lot of pain, worst paper cuts in the world, as you saw last night. Alistar and Morgana being banned as well. The Shen, those shields have been pretty popular. Don't want to get any more of those.
Yeah, no, just an all-around strong champion. Mundo not banned out yet, though, so there's still hope left, but we'll see what Singapore Sentinels goes with. The Lulu versus Soraka lane last night was interesting, though, and it was really cool lane matchups throughout the game. Really impressive play, but Lulu, generally known as a really strong pusher in the lane with the glitter lance and also that ranged harass, but Xpecial actually countering it out with the star call on Soraka, was able to counter push and be extremely aggressive in that lane, going ahead and banning Vladimir as well. And there it is, the Mundo ban. Don't want to see that, but we'll see what Singapore Sentinels has up their sleeves.
Yeah, Vladimir has been a huge presence in this tournament as well. World Elite was actually using him quite a bit as well. Got pretty huge, got pretty beefy. That's a lot.
Messiah was incredible.
Huge.
For watching those games, but Legion in the end, they left open the Vladimir pick. They were able to take them down without banning it out. So I'm definitely excited to check out those matches later on. Just impressive play. And actually Legion, if you guys have been following the NA circuit, they are into the NA regionals as a result of this tournament. Like, they're into third place, and all of a sudden they were out. Like, they weren't in. There's 2 tournaments left, but that last second getting in, really impressive. But there it is, Tofu going to be grabbing Rumble, and we saw how impressive that play was last night.
Rumble has been a pretty reliable pick there for the Sentinels as well. I mean, and Rumble's, he was a little bit nerfed. He did get a little bit of a hit to his kit, but he's still good, still deals a lot of damage, still is amazing at the top lane. But Maokai also being considered here for TSM worked out pretty well. That was the first pick for them actually going into game number 1. Yeah,
Odd One's Maokai has always been incredible. I remember back last year when he first brought it out, and a lot of people weren't playing Maokai, but they brought out the Karthus Maokai comp this past fall. I think it was at MLG Providence or IPL 3, one of those events, and it was just really unstoppable at that point in time. But we'll see how he can do fare. The early ganks and aggression from Maokai are fantastic. Odd One tends to play those support junglers, and Xpecial going with the Soraka again. We've seen Soraka kind of fall out of favor, but Xpecial really likes her a lot. I was in a conversation with him last night, and he was talking about how he really likes Soraka's pushing capabilities that people kind of underutilize when you go with that star call early on.
You have that pushing possibility. I mean, it's not something a whole lot of Sorakas do, but it is there, it is available. And actually switching up, going to be grabbing a Corki instead. We just want to make sure to secure him. It's going to be a little bit out of Sentinel's usual picks to actually go for it, but there's going to be the Tristana and the Malphite being picked up here from the Sentinels.
Yeah, Chaox's Corki was phenomenal yesterday. He was like 10-1 or something like that, like just absolutely absurd. So we'll see if he can pull out that magic again. But getting Tristana, they have the Malphite for that initiation. It also protects their back line a lot. So it's actually going to be a jungle Malphite. So a little bit slower than Maokai in the jungle, but we've seen him in a number of situations before.
Considering the Olaf here,
he wants the rematch.
He wants the rematch. He didn't do too well last night against the Rumble, unfortunately, but we'll see if he can get that revenge if he doesn't go for that pick. But going back to Sentinels real quick, though, you do have Tristana, and we talked a little bit, Lulu has been their go-to support this entire game. How does Lulu actually fare with Tristana?
We'll have to see if they go with the Karthus. Lulu Tristana is pretty strong. We'll see if that's coming out in a second, but I think, is Reginald going to go with it? This is a comp that they've run a number of times to great success, and yes, it seems that they are locking in. So Olaf in the top lane for Dyrus, and Reginald on Karthus once again. He's always been one of the strongest farmers in the game when playing that Karthus. That's going to be an exciting pick. Now, Lulu with the Tristana, if they do decide to go with that, the big thing, that's a really aggressive pick.
That Gragas, he's been coming back into play. He's coming back into style. That barrel is huge. And Janna going to be going down bot lane with the Tristana. The first time Sentinels have not run Lulu in their comp all weekend.
I think they ran a Blitzcrank once, actually, but I'm not positive. Maybe not. I guess it was Lulu all weekend. So
it's been Lulu all weekend.
The nice thing here is that the Janna will help protect that front line a little bit easier, but having the Gragas with the Malphite, that's going to be devastating for Reginald. He really has to play really careful there. It's just going to be a really aggressive lane. Gragas is a natural counter to Karthus. He can win that mid lane very easily, pick up some kills, but Malphite coming out of the jungle, flash ultimate, Karthus is dead. Like, there's nothing that he can do about it. So we'll see. They really need some early ward coverage. They need to, take control of the game early, get some nice map control. Otherwise, Reginald could be in for a world of pain.
But also remember last night, Reggie on TF, he was stacking those GP10s. He really wanted those stock options. He really wanted to go into the mid game, to the late game. And who's a fantastic late game champ? Karthus is.
Yeah, gold pretends have been strong on Karthus for a long time. That triple gold pretend build. I actually know some Karthuses that will actually go for runes and masteries as gold pretends. Like for the armor yellows, instead of going for those or mana regen, they'll go ahead with the gold pretends. So that's definitely kind of interesting. I don't know that Reginald's going to be doing that this game, but we'll see. We are getting this game. I'm actually checking last second. No, he's not doing that. So just standard kind of rune page, but we'll see how he can control things. There's our teams, TSM and Singapore Sentinels.
There we go. Remember, TSM is up 1 game in the series. This is a continuation from last night. If TSM takes game number 2, Sentinels will be dropping down to losers. And remember, World Elite came by as well. They got dropped down by Legion. So there's a possibility we could see a Legion TSM winners finals here.
Yeah, but there was some talk from the Singapore Sentinels about how they're actually really strong coming off of a game 1 loss. They usually come back into game number 2. They'll try and force that game number 3. And then TSM, there's been some jokes going around backstage about how TSM early morning games, not exactly their favorite. So we'll see, how they can do here. But it's definitely an exciting matchup.
Yeah, last night Sentinels like, you know what? This is a common courtesy. Here, take game number 1. Take it. We'll take the rest. It doesn't matter.
Is that what happened last night? They were just like halfway through the game.
It may very well be.
They started all chatting. They were like, just go ahead. We forfeit.
Yeah, just go ahead. Take it.
We'll see, though. Singapore Sentinels, they have a really strong comp. Tristana in the late game is absolutely phenomenal. And the big thing with Tristana, she's some of the highest single-target DPS in the game, but then having the AoE to follow up on it provides her a lot of protection. It gives them a lot of killing potential. We're in the game. We'll be checking this out. TSM versus Singapore Sentinels.
And look at Choi, starting out with no boots, 3 pots, going for that Doran's ring straight out. He's going to be looking to sit back just a little bit, get that health, do the mana regen, be a little bit more, have a little bit more oomph in those barrels early on. He wants to get that farm. He wants to stay in lane just a little bit longer too with that extra mana regen.
Yeah, it can be kind of difficult for Karthus to harass down Gragas. He's not really the most aggressive laner. You just kind of sit back and farm. Against the melee, he could potentially get off some early hits. That could set Charlie behind, but generally speaking, he's going to be fine. It's going to turn into a free farm lane until Gragas looks to turn it against them. And with that body slam, with the ultimate as well, it's just going to be extremely aggressive in that mid lane.
And you got point defense coming in from both teams. You just want to make sure that if they are invaded, they do know about it. You got Corky up top, and Equivocal's actually up top there as well. So I think, is Janna going to be sticking around top lane as soon as minions spawn?
I think Janna is just going to be dropping an early ward to protect against that Maokai coverage. And the big thing is Olaf versus Rumble. It's a really aggressive lane. We saw yesterday how much that lane is reliant on early ganks from the junglers. And if either of them snowballs, they can snowball really quickly. So Janna, yes, just dropping a ward, will be coming to the bottom lane. However, Chaos, on the other hand, they are swapping their top and bottom lane, it seems. Olaf is going to be sitting down there, Xpecial making his way up. So it's going to be a 2v1 top, and that's going to be extremely difficult for Rumble to deal with, particularly with the damage that Corky has and then the regen that Soraka is going to provide him.
But I'm disappointed, though. We're not going to get to see that Olaf Rumble rematch. It's going to have to wait for a little while later until we get the second swap coming on in, and he can go ahead and try and get his revenge after what happened last night. But for now, though, you got the junglers. They're going to be a little bit safer.
Reginald stealing a raid.
And yeah, Reggie's going to just swoop on in, get that blue wraith, get a little bit of a lead there in the mid. He was bragging about this. Like, no, I'm going to do it this morning. We were in the van on the way over. So he's steal the wraith. Give me a shout out. It's going to be exciting.
Oh, there you go. So there it is. Reginald stealing the wraith. I am kind of surprised, though, that TSM, they're sending their bot lane up top, considering how successful they were in the last game. Yes, Dyrus did fall behind a little bit earlier, but it was because of the early jungle pressure that Jarvan has. Malphite doesn't have that same pressure. So Olaf, it would have a very safe 1v1. He would have the pressure from Maokai. Yes, they can shut down Rumble, but I still feel like Olaf would have been a nice pick there. We have seen TSM use Olaf in the 1v2 in the past, though, and Dyrus usually does a fantastic time. It's just considering the fact that Chaos, he was able to shut Darkness out of that game, and now Darkness should have a pretty easy farm against Olaf.
Yep, and also keep in mind too, remember, we did have Equivocal actually go up top lane to drop that ward, but seeing as you're in a 2v1 situation, you're going to be pushed down to tower quite a bit, so that ward is not going to be doing as much as it was intended to do.
Yeah, but Chaos can get some great harass, wear him down very quickly. So far, the junglers are pretty even. Odd one getting his red buff. He's going to have to back out after that. Hallelujah, he has the potential where he could gank, but he's probably going to go back as well. So we'll see what kind of pressure they have. For the most part, there's not going to be a lot of ganking opportunities because these 2v1 lanes, you tend to play extremely passively in those situations. You're not looking for kills. You're usually looking to deny farm. They're going to tend to push. So TSM, they're going to be pushing in the top lane into the tower. Dyrus is going to be pushed up to his tower as well. So there's not really a lot of opportunities, but but Malphite is sitting in the bottom lane, trying to see if Dyrus maybe peeks out a little bit too far.
Oh yeah, he's got the double buff. He's just waiting for his opportunity to see if Dyrus tries to come in, try and get that last hit with an axe or something. Equivocal's right on the end of that bush, waiting to see if he can get that slow one down. But here comes Odd One there a little bit for just some extra moral support. Want to make sure that if there's anything aggressive happening, he's going to be able to go on in with that twisted advance with the slam, try and change things for the better.
Yeah, and Olaf in the first couple of levels, that's when he's going to be most vulnerable in this 1v2 lane, but they're pushing into him. He should be fine. Once he has his ultimate as well, it's going to be really difficult for them to dive in, but Malphite has that kind of killing potential underneath the tower. But in the meantime, Tofu in the top lane, he's been taking a lot of harass from Chaos so far. He's down below half. It's been a really aggressive lane, and Malphite actually starting to make his way up top. Wants to try and counter out that Odd One pressure.
We've mentioned this a lot before in casting in the past. Rumble, he does struggle a little bit in those first few levels. Once he hits 4, once he can actually start to itemize, once he gets that revolver, he can be a little bit more sustaining there in the top lane. He'll have a better time. But until then, though, the push is going to be doing quite a bit. But you do have the Malphite there just standing by. He is level 4. But remember, too, Malphite, once he hits 6, those ganks get dangerous.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about both of these 1v2 lanes is they are both very strong at counter pushing. Hallelujah peeking out in the top lane will show his presence, but Maokai is sitting up there as well. The ward has died from Janna early on, so they maybe could force this.
This could be a little bit dangerous. Odd One, he's waiting there with the double of twisted advance down onto the Rumble. Could actually be pretty huge here, or even then just steal the buff down off the Malphite. But SGS, they will back off Odd One. He has no opportunity here. He's going to be forced to back.
Yeah, and the concern is that Malphite, he's one of the best champions in the game at that counter initiation pressure. The fact that his attack speed slow can shut down a lot of that damage. Rumble as well, has a lot of damage output, so he's a little bit concerned. I still feel like he could have gone in for that, but playing passively recognizes that they want to get the lane push. Now, Soraka and Corki, they're going to be very strong at pushing the lane, so they can get some early pressure onto that tower. But both 1v2 laners, Dyrus and Tofu, they're very strong at clearing the waves. So that is kind of going to alleviate some pressure, but even so, probably around the 7-minute mark, we're going to start seeing those towers go down.
And you also have a little bit of an emergency button on Tofu. When he does hit 6, that ult is also a great wave clearing tool as well. Like, I need some time to back. I need to just give a little bit of an air. So give that time out for you just go by, chop everything, come back into lane to make sure they can actually buy himself some time there.
And the best thing about this lane swap that TSM is doing is the fact that it turns the game into a defensive game. Yes, you will have some really strong jungling pressure, but it still is going to be pretty passive. That's going to allow Reginald to get further and further into that late game. We'll see what he's buying. In the meantime, Maokai coming top or bottom, and they're actually swapping. So Chaos and Soraka, they're moving down bottom once again. They got some early pressure onto Rumble, trying to set him behind a little bit. It's actually, he's slightly ahead of Dyrus. However, Dyrus, we saw yesterday, he started off with that kill build. He was going for the Dorans, then the Hex Drinker. He wanted to snowball very aggressively against Rumble. It didn't work out for him. So in this game, he's actually going to be going with more of a standard build, starting off with that Philosopher's Stone, transitioning into the Heart of Gold, which is just a really strong Olaf build.
And not only was he going aggressive with the items, he's going aggressive with his skill purchases as well. You saw him max out the Reckless swing first, was not really putting a whole lot of effort, not putting a whole lot of points into axes, which really cut down his ability to farm because he was put at such a far distance away from those creeps.
Yeah, in the meantime, Hallelujah in the bot lane, but they do see him with that ward, so KX should be fine. Actually taking some nice harass from Janna, but the big issue with the Corki versus Janna is Corki has the burst to pop that shield, which means you miss out on that AD advantage, and then Soraka with the heals, the armor debuff, it completely shuts down all of Tristana's damage. Yes, she has the healing debuff, so that's going to be nice as they go for some kills with the Malphite a little bit later, but early on, the advantage will be to Corki.
But there's also a little bit of a shine from the team comp that they ran last night, the full shield comp, because remember, you do have the natural shield on Malphite. Rumble has his shield too, so you can see later on, we go into these full 5-on-5 team fights, you'll see those shields busting right out into the front on top of the Janna shield.
Yeah, so we'll have to check out how this game kind of progresses, but Dyrus in a comfortable position now up top. He is kind of getting to that point in the game, though, where Rumble, he starts to get some damage. He started off with a Doran shield, so he's going to be able to protect against some of Dyrus' damage, but because Dyrus is maxing that Reckless Swing first, as that true damage, he can just walk off and kind of zone Rumble a little bit. So he has to watch out that he doesn't take too much damage from the Flame Spitter, but that true damage is definitely going to help him.
And it's also going to delay Tofu's revolver just a little bit, so he's going to be short on damage just for a while. He's going to be short on sustain, but hopefully he can play defensively. The the extra regen that comes in from the shield should make up for that.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Choi starting to push kind of aggressively in the mid lane. You know, he does have that blue buff, so he can spam against Karthus, and Karthus does have really nice AoE clearing, but it opens up opportunities for Choi to start ganking. Malphite and Gragas both heading down to the bottom lane. They did see him. They're actually pinging him off from that ward, but you know, so they should be safe, but there is the potential for a tower dive.
There is some good coverage from TSM, and you know, seeing the champs move down bot accordingly, I think the Sentinels, they knew, and might as well just go back, right back into the mid, go back and farm, and that bush down bot is still warded, so Malphite, he's not going to have a whole lot of opportunities down here, unfortunately. In the meantime, you do have Oddone actually continuing on his jungle path. He is now hit 6 as well, so he's just going to go ahead back, buy himself something nice, and he does have those move 5 boots. We may see him also grabbing oracles real quick here too, just to try and start clearing out some of that coverage, but he will go for that regrowth once he get that Philo Stone.
Yeah, but already we see a big difference from the game yesterday. Yesterday we saw a lot of early aggression from Singapore Sentinels. They were able to pick up kills against TSM, and I think TSM was a little bit concerned about that. They didn't want to fall behind early. However, Darkness in the bottom lane, he's keeping up neck to neck with Chaos. He's actually ahead of him currently, so that's a huge turnaround from yesterday where he was down like 60 CS. Malphite is sitting in the mid lane though, and they do have the Gragas ultimate as well, so they can pressure him, but Maokai is sitting there for the backup.
And there's a little bit of a lead there. Choi has over Reginald in the mid. It's not the hugest lead, but if you can manage to, if someone gets forced back, if someone gets forced out of lane, someone just go ahead, take that lead, and just run with it.
Yeah, and Reginald trying to be safe, but he does have to watch out for those ganks. They did see Malphite in the jungle, but they don't really have an idea of where he is right now. So just AoE clearing, Reginald can sit back, play pretty safely. He's not going for that gold pretend build. He's starting off with you know, that catalyst, which is going to be nice against some of that burst. But Malphite is setting up in the bottom lane. Choi with the follow-up, Hallelujah, getting some damage, and actually will zone them underneath his turret. But it does signal to TSM to try and get in there.
You do have the Karthus ult trying to stack a little bit of damage on it, knowing that a fight is going to be coming very soon, especially with the ward in that Tri-Brush. Let's get some harassing. You got Corki moving on back. Darkness is going in. You get a rocket jump right on in, especially with forced at his own tower. You get the barrel coming in, and his first blood for the Sentinels.
Yeah, and actually Darkness tanking a lot of that damage, but they were able to pick up that kill. They just have too much burst. They have too much CC to take him down, or for Soraka to not go down. And actually they're transitioning right over to the Dragon. That was their bread and butter yesterday. It was all of the day. They said that they're not going to lose a single Dragon. They lost one against TSM. So now here's the payback. They start off with that early pressure.
Yep, and every time all these Dragons, they add up over time, and that's a huge objective for the Sentinels. And with that, the gold here is about a K.5 to about 1,500 up here, which at this point on, any gold lead is huge this early on into the game, the pre-20-minute mark.
Yeah, but Oddone is setting up in the top lane, and with that early gold lead, yes, they have an advantage, but it's not enough right now. So Dyrus, he will be safe up there. He has the double gold pretends. It's going to be a very safe lane for them. They can try and hold off. The big issue that TSM is going to face is not being safe in the early game. They do have to worry about the aggression that SGS is going to put out on them, as we've seen in the past. However, TSM, they also need to be concerned about how they can get Reginald into those fights, because there's a lot of control for SGS. They have Janna to kite. They have Gragas. They have Malphite. These are all going to be champions that will make it very difficult for Reginald to get in the middle of the team. In the meantime, Oddone showing up in the top lane, but Tofu's perfectly fine. He's been able to back off and bait it out.
Now we've talked about how Karthus is great in the late game, but Tristana, we talked about that as well, and she does have the kit to actually just jump right on the back line and focus down Reggie in these fights as well. But Dark just getting some extra poke down onto KX. Rocket jump in pursuit has to force the Valkyrie away, but still getting some extra damage onto Especial while everyone's retreating. KX is going to be returning back to his tower at half health just from that.
Yeah, and actually Singapore Sentinels, they're moving into the bottom lane. They could go for another gank. Hallelujah, his ultimate is up, but the blue buff will be up shortly, so they can take that as well. Chaox trying to get out of there. He will actually cancel his teleport, but Special will surely go down again. There's the barrel. They pick up the quick kill.
Deja vu, man. Carbon copy exactly what happened last time. And you know what? If it works, go with it. And these go ahead, continue to push down tower. They may just take it out right here. Only Oddone is here to defend it. Throws down the ult and then just walks away from it, trying to get some extra damage going down. But the tower is going to be no problem. The Sentinel is going to be grabbing the first tower. Is getting tier 1 there in bot lane.
Yeah, and the early pushing, the early aggression could throw them ahead before Karthus can get into this game. And again, it's going to be a serious issue for Karthus to get his damage on the team because of the range of Singapore Sentinels. Tristana with her long attack range is like 700. near the end of the game. That's going to allow her to just poke down Reginald without being in the middle of the team. And then they have the knockback for Tristana and for Gragas. So 2 knockbacks, and Janna as well.
Yeah, Janna.
Just to force Reginald out of these fights. They can pick up the kill, then Karthus, he's not going to get that after effect AoE.
Yeah, Janna there for the Sentinels, the perfect panic button. If the team fight is going wrong, if you need to get the hell out of there quick, Janna Monsoon can just save the day.
Yeah, so we'll see how they can progress here. The Maokai-Karthus combo is a very strong one, and we've seen it in the past from TSM. It allows Karthus to get in there a little bit more easily late in the game. It makes Karthus near unkillable when they have this tanky team, having the damage reduction from Maokai with the Soraka as well.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the concern for Singapore Sentinels, is continuing to pressure their advantage before they get into that super late game. The mid game is phenomenal for Singapore Sentinels. However, Rumble and Gragas, as the game progresses, their damage kind of falls off. You have to hit your AoE, and teams can cut you out a little bit more easily.
But then you do have all the setups you need here. You do have the Gragas ult, you do have the Malphite ult coming in as well. Tofu getting a little bit harassed down in the Dyrus. The Twisted Advanced spot, but here is the Malphite. He was waiting in that bush the whole time, but the Karthus ult does manage to pick up Tofu. So now Malphite, he just needs to walk back and realize, man, my Yordle buddy, I couldn't save you there.
Yeah, that double global pressure is going to be really devastating for TSM. So Oddwin doing a really nice job, has been following around Malphite basically the entire game. That 6th sense jungler is always nice to see, but getting that pressure off, really effective play. And Tyrus living with that ultimate was able to back out of there. And so now he's got the magic resist as well. Starting off with those null magic mantles, he can pursue a more aggressive build and try and harass down Rumble a little bit.
And remember all these fights too, not only do you already have Karthus available to front load damage, you also have a special there with that global ability. It's not too uncommon to see the Karthus and the Soraka paired together, so that way you're at such a huge advantage going into these fights later on.
Yeah, but we'll have to see whether or not Singapore Sentinels can keep up the pressure. 2K ahead right now. They already have a bot turret down, and it seems that Tristana, she's actually kind of grouping mid, but Olaf is here to counter that out some. He can clear the ways pretty easily, but they still have to worry. Tristana has great poking potential to be able to wear down those turrets with her excellent range, and with that red buff, she's just like killing Gatling gun, actually getting some damage onto Dyrus, and so he's underneath the turret, but he has the Soraka backup.
Yeah, you just go in, Tristana, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go in, you're going to shoot that turret. I'm going to keep throwing barrels. I'm going to clear the path for you. You should be fine. But TSM, they're looking to build up their defense there in mid. Dyrus is actually going to make start making his way back top lane and go ahead and take care of that, because he did have Rumble, he did have Tofu. Actually behind the tower looking to get that farm. There is the ward in the Tribrush, Axe is going down, but it looks like Tofu will be just fine. He should be able to back out.
Yeah, and Singapore Sentinels, they're slowly wearing down these
Charlie,
towers.
Though. There is the ward in that Tribrush, so right now TSM knows that Gragas is in the neighborhood. It's just a matter of can they get the barrel they want onto Dyrus. They're not going to bother invading on it, though. It's a little bit risky at this point.
Yeah, but they're getting the early pressure on the towers like we had seen yesterday, just constantly chipping at it. Then they're able to take the 3 outer turrets pretty early in the game. 15 minutes now, but the mid turret is very close to going down. The wall of pain from Reginald will protect him for a little bit, but it might not be enough. Hallelujah could tank this a little bit with that ult. And there's actually Gragas coming in as well. Reginald really needs to back off. They will be okay, not able to pick up that kill.
Tier 1 in mid going to be falling. Sentinels grabbing that one as well. And those barrels, as time goes on, and Gragas, he's getting a decent amount of farm himself. I mean, right now, Gragas and Karthus, they're so neck and neck when it comes to farm. But you got the kill, you got the assist, and it's a lot of advantage. But you do have the Rod of Ages there on Karthus, going to be a little more tanky, but going straight on in, wants to get the death cap first for Gragas. That's going to be huge damage.
Yeah, the burst from Gragas is phenomenal in the mid game. The big thing that is kind of benefit for TSM is they have a team that's going to tend to split up in fights. Karthus is going to be kind of sitting in the back line trying to engage. Karthus is vulnerable to Gragas ultimate, but Gragas probably won't be able to catch off like 3 or 4 members. He's only going to grab 1 or 2, and that still is a game-changing ability. Gragas is one of the best game teams. He can try and pick up those kills and just really quickly snowball fights for him.
You look at Darkness, last time he backed, he did grab that red elixir. So not only is that going to help a little bit in the health, going to help a little bit in the damage, but remember too, if you're facing up against someone like a Karthus and you need health, and you need health quick, is a great emergency tool if you just want to go ahead and live it through that Karthus ult, because he will heal immediately when you use it.
Yeah, and while Singapore Sentinels are taking down that Dragon, TSM, they're going to be pushing down the top, so they're probably going to be able to pick up that turret, but so far, they've done a fantastic job keeping themselves in this game. Dyrus getting caught out here. The rocket jump from Darkness, not going to be able to follow it up on it. He has the ultimate, but Gragas is here as well. If he gets the ultimate onto X Special, there's the ultimate. The flash from X Special able to get out of there, but the follow-up damage onto Dyrus, a buster shot with the Ignite.
Wait,
I think he has
is it enough? Is it enough counting down? Yes, he still gets it.
And so they will be able to back off, but they still have to worry about that top pressure from TSM, Chaos, and the Odd One pressuring down that top turret.
They'll beat this. I mean, it's a 4-man push versus a 2-man push. Reginald can only do so much on his own, and the damage, the poke is pretty good here for the Sentinels. Granted, the AoE clear does help a little bit, but Tofu, top lane, with that ult, will actually get quite a decent amount of damage down on the Odd One.
And the best thing about what Singapore Sentinels is doing, Choi getting out of there with the body slam. The best thing about what they're doing right now is they're keeping Tristana farm. So Darkness, he really struggled in game number 1. He was so incredibly behind Chaos, he was able to just shut him down. Now he's only 15 CS behind, but the early kills, the tower pressure in as well, the towers and the dragons, those team objectives allow him to keep in this game. So he's actually ahead of Chaos in gold, 6,000 gold to Chaos's 5,100. He's very close to finishing that Infinity Edge. So he's going to have a 20-minute Infinity Edge, which means that the timing for Singapore Sentinels is going to be phenomenal. When Gragas, he's just now finishing up his Rabadons, he's going to be really powerful, and then Tristana finishing up that damage as well.
Yeah, we've seen some Tristana builds already during the weekend, and after that IE, you're going to go for that Zeal, you're going to fan this, you're going to have a lot of damage here. Meanwhile, Tofu does get caught, Odd One throwing down the ult, that's supposed to be able to save, has to go flash over the wall just to get the safety, but this does allow a little bit of a window. You do have Odd One, he's going to be forced to back. Darius is coming to look and help, but the Sentinels, again, 4-man push here, they should be able to muscle out another turret.
Yeah, unrelenting pressure from Singapore Sentinels. Dyrus and Cax, they're going to try and counter push this a little bit, so they're going to be able to stall for a second, but they have Hallelujah in the background, waiting in the brush, waiting to get that kill. Gragas, in the meantime, picking up that blue, so he's going to be able to join up with his team, and a couple more shots. It's going to go down, the tanking from Malphite, and they will be able to take down another outer turret.
And here's the thing, too. When the Sentinels were pushing down bot lane, Reggie was there. Reggie with great AoE clear. He is in mid. He's not available there to go to the top lane and try and clear. So it was a little bit of a rough time. So TSM, they did have to route more members top lane just to defend that push.
Yeah, and they actually back off right now. With the early advantage that Singapore Sentinels have, it might be a good opportunity for Malphite to grab an Oracles, give them some map pressure since they want to keep putting the pressure on TSM. The concern is that he's going to be extremely aggressive. He's going to be diving into the Karthus AoE, and it's going to be really easy for him to die. So I think as a result of that, he's kind of holding off. They might go with Janna actually picking up the Oracles because it'd be a little bit safer for their team. In the meantime, Chowie coming up, keeping an eye on TSM, but they will be able to retreat. And Reginald so far, 208 CS at just below 20 minutes. He's really farming excellently. He's going to be getting really deep into his item build.
It's going to be pretty big. But you also have both of the ADs taking a little bit of time to themselves, top lane and bot lane respectively, just trying to get their free farm, just trying to clear the waves, just trying to get those lanes pushed. And we've mentioned before, those AD carries getting that farm. Tristana is going to be huge part of these team fights late game, trying to focus down that Karthus, trying to get all the damage from afar.
Yeah, and she's actually recalling right now. She has enough for that Infinity Edge. So 20-minute Infinity Edge.
Pretty
compared
good.
with Chaos, who's not quite done his Triforce. He's only a couple hundred gold off of it though, so he'll have that shortly. But the damage output from Tristana will be phenomenal. And Tristana actually maxing the rocket jump first for the burst, but we'll start going into that attack speed. So we'll hit max attack speed or very close to it very early in this game.
Yeah, that attack speed combined with what will eventually be built, Zeal in the Fan Dancer and Not So Uncommon, just built immediately after the IE, just so you maximize on the attack speed, maximize on that crit. Make sure you utilize that extra passive on the IE to get all the extra crit damage in. She's going to be pretty fast.
I have to say, though, TSM, they've done a fantastic job of slowing down Singapore Sentinels right here. And yes, they have been extremely aggressive with pushing. They've been able to get some damage. But it's 21 minutes in, and it's not a definitive lead for either team.
No.
It's extremely close in this game. Dyrus is starting to get deep into his build, and he's going to be the one they're really looking for. Reginald as well, but the potential for Dyrus to get into that backline, threaten Tristana, force her to rocket jump away so that she's not going to have that same survivability. She's going to be pressured. She's not going to be able to get out her damage output in fights.
Yeah, and when you see a low kill game like this so far, it's only 3-1. We're on the 22nd minute. There's only been 4 kills in this game so far. You have to look at objectives. You have to look at towers. You have to look at Dragon. And right now, the Sentinels, they do have more of those. They've gotten 3 towers to 1. They've gotten pretty much every single Dragon so far. So with that, they do have a slight lead. They do have 3K up at the moment. So it's just, just a matter of seeing how far can they extend it from here.
Yeah, and this is starting to get to the point where Singapore Sentinels, they're going to be feeling a little bit more confident. They're going to be extremely aggressive. They have the poke from Gragas as well. He's going to be holding on to those race. Wanted to see if Reginald maybe damage one of them first, but will back off. And so we'll see if they can try and pressure them down. Karthus is very strong at holding off pushes, combined with Corki as well. It's going to be very easy for them to stall off. However, the poke damage from Gragas underneath the towers could be devastating. But I think they're a little bit concerned right now. Having that follow-up with Special for the regen, they might just stall out if they go for a push. So right now, now, just putting pressure on the map, continuing to keep up their farm before they make their move.
Everybody's also itemizing relatively well. Also, you got Reggie, he's working for his own death cap. You got another needlessly large rod being built there onto Charlie. He's probably going to be as Zonia's there later on in those fights, so he can be right up front, getting all that damage, being very protected. You also got Rumble with the cloak there, so he's going to have a little bit more magic resistance. He can go ahead and fight up front with Reggie. He's looking to be up there, charging straight on in, and just not give a care about any AoE damage or any magic damage that Reggie has to dish out.
And they did actually get an Oracles onto Malphite, so a little bit of a concern. Dyrus chasing him down a little bit, but he has the team to follow up, so he's going to be fine, get out of there. But they can go for another Dragon.
There it is.
Immediately hitting the respawn, but TSM, they're on the back line. They're not quite in the best position, but they might try and force this.
The Dragon's already gone. Dyrus is out in front. You do have one caught out a little bit as well, but early they want the barrel. They're going to push back in just a little bit. Dyrus is right out in front. You do have Otto looking for his twist advance. You do have Makai right there, right at the bottom of the rim, but Dyrus is going down very quickly. But Hallelujah, Shren might very well sacrifice himself for the team, but you do have Dyrus actually going to go down first in this fight. Malphite is very low. Darkness may get very low. He was exhausted. Cax flashing in response there. Tries to get the damage to the shield. May very well save him. Meanwhile, Reggie does go down, but there you go. Here comes the ult. Is he going to get everybody? That's a double. 2 for 4.
Yeah, really impressive play from TSM, and the big thing was that Singapore Sentinels, they started off, they used the Gragas ultimate onto Dyrus, and they not only missed the ultimate, but he had his ultimate as well. You hear the TSM chants, the fans are excited, but we'll see how they can transition it. The big thing is, hallelujah, he missed out on that Oracle, so he's lost it, and now TSM, they're taking a really nice lead into this game.
Yeah, it was a very strange team fight, but that's the thing. Dyrus out in front. He's a little bit better spot this time around than he was in game 1 at the very least. So with that, I mean, he's going to be a little bit more tanky. He can stick out in front just a little while longer.
Yeah, so we'll see how they can continue to pressure it, but they're definitely looking pretty strong getting in. The big thing with the Dragon fight, though, is it allows Karthus to get into the middle of the team, and that's what we saw in that fight. They're kind of stuck in that little AoE, so they're able to just force the fight. Odd One, he gets the initiation, then Reginald just walks right into the middle of the team. That's going to be kind of difficult as the game progresses. They have a lot of Singapore Sentinels has a lot of mobility and a lot of survivability in those fights, but if Reginald can get into the middle of the team, get his damage off, he's going to be phenomenal. And then Chaos should be able to 1v1 Tristana still. So Darkness jumping over the wall, trying to pick him off, but couldn't quite follow up on it.
And you also realize as that fight started, you had the Maokai ult right there at the bottom of the ramp. And so you got Darkness actually may very well catch out Dyrus. You do see the Rumble ult going down. He pops the ult. Will Dyrus be able to get away from this Darkness? Are you going to continue the pursuit here? Will he get away? Yes, he will.
Yeah, so they heal from X Special, able to back them out of there. Singapore Sentinels, they're looking for their opportunities, but now their gold lead is almost gone. Reginald still pushing in the bottom lane, will be able to get some pressure. And Singapore Sentinels, they don't have the best team for taking Baron right now, so there's not that great of an opportunity. So, even though he's bot, he's not really risking much. They will be coming up in the jungle, though, steal that red for Darkness, so he's going to have that advantage to himself. And actually, Choi coming down in the bottom lane, pick up some of that farm, going to counter out Reginald some.
But also realize, too, that Reggie is not with the team. That does give an opportunity for the Sentinels to push, because that AoE clear to keep the minions off, to keep the pressure down, is a vital tool to try and push back some of these huge aggressive plays here from the Sentinels. If he's away from the team, if he's just farming elsewhere, it does put TSM in a little bit of a disadvantage, and you'll see, like they did before at top lane, you have to reroute every other member just to go ahead and defend that push.
Yeah, but Rumble actually going with the Abyssal Scepter, so that's going to help them out a little bit in team fights. Having that magic penetration, they're going to have the great burst with Gragas, but it also keeps them a little bit safer from the Reginald play, so they won't have to worry about that as much. TSM, they have regrouped, so not that big of a concern right now, and they can just continue to hold off Singapore Sentinels right now, just continuing to farm that late game, wait for them to wear themselves out, because as the game progresses, that's the big issue with Gragas. If you are able to spread out in the team fight, he's not able to hit his barrels very quickly, he misses out on a lot of damage.
And Reggie is actually almost about to cap out here. He's almost at level 18 already. Charlie's only at 16. He's a little bit behind, and you have to have the death cap to actually finish there on Reggie as well. But Darkness trying to get the poke down on the tower. Now you have minion support. Now you can be able to do it. But here's the thing. Now Karthus is with the team. Now Reggie is here. If he really wants to just go around and get that AoE, he's actually going the long way around. I think he's looking to get the wall. He does get the wall of pain down onto Darkness. He's going to be going down those layways. Rocket jump away, forcing it out there, and Singapore Sentinels, they'll have to back off for now.
Yeah, so no follow-up from Odd One, but they're playing very safe right now. Reginald was able to wear down Malphite a little bit. They have the Soraka regen as well, so that kind of an advantage. It will help them when this fight actually does break out, but they do have to worry about that Gragas poke, just avoiding those barrels a little bit, and the constant pressure for Singapore Sentinels. They could force a fight soon.
Just to look at all these mean clears, though, it's TSM, they don't really, Reggie, he can do a good job doing it, but Odd One, Chaos, Dyrus, everyone here with the axes and everything, those missiles, they can't really do as much pushing as aggressive as they were before, because now everyone's getting farmed. Everyone's hitting mid-game, start to edge out into late game, and it's really becoming a non-issue.
Yeah, and one of the nice things for TSM is with the Shurelias onto Dyrus, they can kite out Singapore Sentinels a little bit, so they can avoid some of that AoE damage. However, they also have really poor initiation. It's only Maokai. However, with the disengages that Singapore Sentinels has, they can easily, retreat from a fight. They can have that Janna just get out of there very easily. So it could be difficult for TSM to force a fight until very late in the game, when they can start pressuring objectives like Baron, like turrets, and Singapore Sentinels just has to fight in order to respond.
And even then, you saw in that last push, Reggie just tried to go around. He's like, I'll get the wall of pain down. That'll be our initiation. It's no problem. But far away, Odd One is a little bit too far away from the team. He does throw down the Maokai ult. Just keep everyone safe. And there's the emergency button. There's the Janna. It's no problem.
Yeah, but the Monsoon, it does leave them a little bit vulnerable, but again, it's very difficult for TSM to get that follow-up and get Reginald into the middle of the team. So we'll see how they pressure it. That's kind of why Singapore Sentinels is kind of concerned about pushing or forcing objectives like Baron, because it opens them up to opportunities for TSM to get a strong engage from Reginald behind them and force them into enclosed spaces. However, they can continue pressuring the turrets, and then TSM, they're always going to be in vision. They're going to be able to keep an eye on them and try and look for an opportunity to engage themselves.
And we've been talking about this too. The longer this game goes on, the more farm, the more everyone's getting huge and starting to itemize very well. You got more AP, more AP being built there on the Reggie as if he needed any more. But look at Tristana. You've had the Infinity Edge done for a while. There's the Phantom Dancer there as well. So all that attack speed, all that crit going to be coming now onto that Tristana.
Yeah, and they are setting up for another Dragon, so Singapore Sentinels not allowing any of that Dragon pressure. But yeah, Tristana's attack speed is just phenomenal right now. 1.5, but it's going to boost up to like 2.2 with the Q. It is actually 2.1. They get the tower very easily and then can retreat from TSM.
Janna is not with the team here. Is going to be a little bit tricky to try and get this down. And plus, also the Monsoon is not available either. So the shields is going to be tricky to try and get it someone like Malphite. You do have the slow. You have the toss coming down onto Reggie. Or right now, Toph is just trying to seal somebody out. Malphite will actually be the first one to go down. Reggie, there you go. Janna getting that kill. Janna getting the shutdown. Here comes the Karthus ult as well. Everyone from the Sentinels hopping over the Dragon wall to safety, 1-for-1, and the Dragon a little bit better of a fight that time.
Yeah, and the Singapore Sentinels, they were able to retreat, but really nice play starting off that fight. They were able to, get the pressure onto them, and the big thing was keeping Karthus on the side. They had Reginald out of position. They were able to pin him against the wall. Then, we'll see how they kind of progress from there, but really nice play. And the big thing was, again, Darkness. Darkness was off on the side, and he was able to, get over the wall and then finish it up onto Reginald.
Yeah, so let's go back to real quick and take a look at that last fight over there down by the Dragon with a little bit of an instant replay here.
Yeah, and then as they come in, they have the zoning for TSM, equivocal in the back line, but Hallelujah extremely tanky in the front line. Dyrus not forcing the engage, but the barrel from Gragas, actually really nice play. Then Darkness over the wall was able to protect himself, and TSM, they couldn't force a fight on the rest of the team. Singapore Sentinels able to back out of there. Really nice play.
MVP of that fight, I think, is equivocal, though, just still managing to get that kill onto the Karthus.
Yeah, so we'll see how they can progress, but if they hit barrels like that for the rest of the game, that's going to be phenomenal for them. They can start taking objectives. In the meantime, they are pushing down this mid turret, and Shawi is sitting off to the side, so Darkness kind of trapped here. Has to watch out for the odd one with the twisted advance, the follow-up from Reginald, but Darkness with the ult will be able to push him away so that he's going to be fine, but Malphite is in the middle of their team.
That could have been way worse. That could have been way worse, but either way, though, you got Reggie. He's a little bit caught out there. Malphite coming in on top of the Gragas barrel over the wall. Darkness going to be going in and get that kill, but you do have the Malphite going down in response. Janna goes down as well. Double kill for Reggie. 2-for-1 in that fight there.
Yeah, and the big thing for Singapore Sentinels in that fight was that they were able to burst down Karthus once again. However, there was no pressure onto Chaos. So even with the ultimates comboing there, being able to take him down over the wall, they weren't able to follow up on it because Chaos is just so incredibly strong right now. No pressure into his face, so he's able to chase them away, able to pick up the 2-for-1. And now TSM, they're actually transitioning over to the top lane, maybe going to try and grab someone out. Darkness a little bit out of position, but will catch an eye onto Dyrus so they can back out of there.
Darkness, do not get caught again. Do not get caught again like that. That could actually cost you the game at this point here, but you do see you have the Oracles down onto Special, going to be clearing down all the ward coverage here over by the Baron, and your next logical objective to try and force here. TSM does have a man advantage here, but now that everyone has respawned, Reggie will actually be back with the team soon. They're looking to camp out the bush. Are they just going to try and lure Sentinels in here?
Yeah, Darkness a little bit out of position, but he has the survivability, he has the mobility, he's going to get out of there very easily. And TSM with that Oracle's Onyx special, they want to position themselves around the Baron, and so they're very comfortable with their team fighting potential now. They know that Chaos is going to be safe in the backline because their Singapore Sentinels is going to be completely focused onto Reginald, and as a result, they can force a fight, force Singapore Sentinels to deal with them. However, they will be clumped up in an AoE, so they have to watch out that they don't have a poor initiation.
And you actually see Reggie, he actually went back, bought himself a revolver, and with that rod, he actually building into Rhoda, so he knows he's going to be focused. He's like, look, if I'm going to be putting down all this damage, if I have this massive AoE, I might as well regen while I'm doing it, stay in the fights a little bit longer, and draw the focus in towards me more.
Yeah, and so TSM going to back off for a second. Don't want to have a bad engage with Singapore Sentinels. They recognize as the game progresses, their late game is absolutely phenomenal. So they're going to be able to take control of the game as it goes further and further on. But we'll see Dyrus trying to poke at them a little bit. Can't quite get in range, and Equivocal off on the side, keeping an eye on them.
Darkness is bot lane alone. This is a huge opportunity here for TSM if they want to go in for this engage, if they want to get some push down. Darkness, he's been trying to farm. He's been trying to get free farm whenever he can, trying to start to out-farm Chaos just a little bit more, trying to build more damage, but with that, he's out of position. He's not with the team. That's given opportunities for TSM.
Yeah, but they know they need to keep Darkness farming, otherwise they're not going to lose that advantage. No. The engage from the, actually Gragas Barrel knocking him away. The Hallelujah is very low. They get the Rumble ultimate. Odd1 getting onto a minion, trying to force a fight, and the Karthus ultimate as well will go down. So Singapore Sentinels, they are very low. However, they're perfectly fine. TSM does have to retreat because they're not able to get the full engage on the SGS.
You do have the Karthus ult being used there, front-loaded damage, but you also see the Equivocal actually use the Monsoon just to get a little bit of that health back. Wall Pain going down once again, Tuber's there, but you do have the Malphite coming in. He may go down very quick, but Reggie, everyone's focusing him down. You got the Zonias being popped down on a try in the middle of this huge fight. The Barrel doing quite a bit, but the Gragas will go down anyway.
Yeah, and Chaos is turning it around, gets the kill on the Darkness. Actually, the only one left is Tofu and Equivocal. Dyrus will be able to pick up that kill on the Tofu.
Oh.
The twisted advance from Maokai does pick it up, but Chaos in his turn, he gets the red buff. TSM, they get the 5-for-1 ace.
That's what happened. You focus down Reggie, just could not get that kill. But and with that though, TSM can grab the Baron and they can just go ahead and have a huge advantage going into the pushes in the minutes following this.
Yeah, and the big thing for that fight was that Chaui, actually a little bit concerned about damage output, did sit in the middle of their team, so he actually body slammed into Reginald, threw up the Zonias as well, but wasn't able to follow up on it, and Chaos, again, perfectly safe in the back line, has the damage follow up. The mix of magic damage and true damage is just phenomenal, and SGS kind of putting themselves out of position. They were all clumped right in the middle of that Reginald AoE, and so TSM was able to pick up that kill and then grab the Baron as a result.
And again, Darkness, as we saw before, he was away from the team. He was not there when the fight started, and he just could not contribute that. But let's go take a look at that fight once more.
Yeah, and the big thing is they were setting up, and Reginald was able to get in the middle of the team. Hallelujah with the initiation. Reginald did get pretty low, but they didn't have the follow-up damage, and Darkness was right in the middle of the team on top of Reginald. So even though they were able to pick up the kill onto Reginald, they didn't have the follow-up because Darkness was so low. Chaos was able to pick up that kill and then chase down Equivocal. So really impressive play. But the big thing was allowing that engage from Reginald. Everyone was caught in his damage. They were able to pick it up, and we'll cut back to the live. But again, TSM with fantastic control in this game so far.
And you even see in the middle of that fight too, Reggie, that revolver really paid for itself just there in that one fight. He was able to tank just a little while longer, kill all the time he needed.
Yeah, and so now TSM, they have the advantage. They're up only a K in gold, but considering the fact that they were behind not that long ago, really impressive play from them. They get that counter push. And SGS, they have to be a little bit concerned that they're not going to have the damage to follow up onto TSM. They might have kind of missed their opportunity to take this game out of position. However, Tristana has less Whisper. She has a phenomenal amount of damage if she can be safe in the backline, but she can't wander into that Reginald AoE once again.
Well, you can't be safe in the backline if you're not in the backline. If you're down bot lane, that's the wrong place to be.
Yeah, so we'll see how SGS can push this, try and bring the game back to their favor, because TSM has taken complete control. They are able to grab that dragon. So the second time that TSM has just grabbed that dragon in the face of Singapore Sentinels, Odd1, he picks up the bottom turret, and they're positioning themselves. The big thing is keeping Chaos alive and trying to pressure Darkness. So AD versus AD is how late game tends to come down to. But the big thing is Singapore Sentinels, other than Tristana, they don't have a lot of great sustained damage in the late game compared with TSM, who has Karthus, Chaos, and Olaf.
It really is. It really is a lose-lose situation here for the Sentinels because you have to make a choice here. You got to focus down to Karthus. You got to focus down to Corki. Either way, it's going to take a huge, monumental effort just to take out either one, and the other is just going to be slamming down so much damage in the process.
And with the Maokai and the Soraka, they actually have a lot of damage. Darkness getting out of there just barely. Odd One pressuring him, but front-loading the damage. Reginald is going to be able to wear them down a little bit for this impending fight.
Just waiting for the creep waves to come up, and Odd One right there just throwing down those saplings. Just being a little bit annoying, but Chaos is there. He can get those missiles down as well just for a little bit extra harass. And the minion waves are just going to be like butter, going down completely. Just it doesn't even matter. They're just toys to them. Throwing down the Maokai ult for that damage. Hey, fight us in this ult. We dare you. We're going to go ahead and poke down that tower.
Yeah, they have to be concerned, though, because they're not getting a lot of damage on the tower. They're starting to take some damage themselves, and if they force a fight under tower, that could be an awesome opportunity for Singapore Sentinels. So it will stall out for them. There's actually a massive wave pushing top. It probably is going to be able to take down that second turret by itself, and so TSM, they have to retreat, but, you know, really nice job from SGS relieving some of that pressure.
Yep, but you do see, we saw this a lot last night too in game one. TSM with the Maokai, every time they're going to go try and push an objective, trying to push a tower down, you always see them start right front and center with the Maokai ult. They know, he's like, hey, we're trying to pressure this. If you want to try and counteract this, you have to fight us in the ult. We're going to take a lot less damage. You're going to take significantly more.
Oh, but Reginald trying to stall off, can't quite save that turret. It does go down to the minion pressure. So nice opportunity for Singapore Sentinels. But the big thing is, as it gets later and later into the game, Tristana has great pushing potential, and then they have the nice tanking, with Malphite and some of those other champions. So if Singapore Sentinels wins one team fight, they could really quickly, devastate TSM's base, and this game could completely turn around. They are down 2K gold though, and they face the kind of same pressure. The nice benefit for Singapore Sentinels is they don't have to force a full-on engage where TSM can normally get those aces. They're usually going to be able to retreat in a fight if they start to lose it, and that's going to allow them to stall off TSM further.
41-35, the Baron will respawn. The buff has disappeared, so there's a little bit of an opportunity here for Sentinels to just go ahead, get a little bit of pushback, try and push the lanes, and try and get things ready for when that Baron does indeed respawn.
Yeah, and TSM pushing in, Odd One trying to get some pressure. They do, Singapore Sentinels, they do have a ward in the mid, so they have an idea of where they are. Darkness is in the bottom lane, though. TSM might actually rush this while Darkness is out of position, but I think that Choi, with that AoE that Gragas has, he's going to be able to clear those waves very easily, so it makes it very difficult for TSM to push in on them. They really need to just pressure the Baron, but I think they're a little bit concerned. They might get low, or they might force a really nice AoE fight for Singapore Sentinels that they can win.
And getting the coverage down there, throwing the saplings down, looking to see what waves they can push. Reggie going to be their top lane, keeping the pressure up. And Darkness still actually there in the bot lane. Just wants to get his push on, wants to make sure that wave is fine, pushing on in for when those fights come, because the Baron still may actually just get a tower on their own. But you do have the Malphite coming on in, and Chaos very low with the shutdown coming from Janet. That was crazy quick, and Reggie is also not with TSM right now, so this is a great opportunity for Sentinels to go ahead and push back.
That's absolutely what they need. They need to pick off some champions. They are going to be able to grab this tower as well, but Darkness in the meantime, he's getting the bot turret, so they get both of the outer turrets, so they're pushed up into the base, but picking off Chaos, it completely turns the game around for Singapore Sentinels, and now they can pressure this bottom lane as well.
Yep, if Reggie was not pushing, if Reggie was with the team in mid, that could have been a dramatically different situation, just very much like earlier when Darkness was on his own pushing down bot lane.
Yeah, and this tower, it's very low. It's down to a third, a quarter HP. They do have the Karthus ultimate trying to just force them to get out of there, so it will stall off Singapore Sentinels a little bit. But Equivocal, yes, so just not saving it for a fight in that Maokai engage. Will use it to keep them up so that they can try and take down this turret. It's very low. They could grab it pretty quickly.
Equivocal's even get some damage down on that as well, but Darkness is going to be with that range, grab that turret, and they're going straight on in for the inhib. They still have the pressure. Cax is not going to be back up for another few seconds. Swiss advance from Otto, go down onto the Malphite. Wants to get that damage. He throws down the ult right in the face of the Sentinels. Arlulia is getting very low there. Dyrus with one axe could actually do it, but no, the Jan Shield is going to be there for a little bit of protection. You do have the slow going down onto Darkness. Rocket jump away. Rumble ult in defense. The barrel doing quite a bit of damage, and the Sentinels will get away.
Yeah, the SGS disengage potential is just phenomenal. They're able to retreat out of there. It started off Choi with the barrel onto Reginald. He was trying to get in the middle of the team. Choi threw him out of there, so really nice play. Then they're able to retreat very easily. seriously. And again, that's the issue with TSM's team right now. They don't have that hard initiation. However, SGS, they are recalling, and TSM is pushing down the mid lane. There is the potential that they could transition to Baron, and they are going to kill it extremely quickly. I don't know if SGS is going to get back in time.
Baron is going to be up in like 5 seconds, so Sentinels, they need to get there ASAP if they want to stop this. And Karthus, he's an amazing champ at taking down all these objectives, and there's so much damage on the KX. He's going down very, very quickly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,000. There it goes, and Sentinels are going to be in for a rude surprise. Here comes the wall pin. Reggie is out in front, taking a huge chunk of damage, and goes down immediately. The Gragas barrel doing quite a bit, and he's focusing down KX, wants to get him out of this fight. Ottawa keeping Charlie busy. Same thing with Equivocal, but there is the slows going down. You got the shard. KX does go down as well, despite having the buff. Charlie trying to 1v1 Ottawa. Ottawa throwing it down the ult. Charlie wisely getting out of that situation, but you do have the Sentinels after taking that win. Granted, TSM got the Baron. They lost 2 members, but they're now taking this opportunity to go ahead and push some more. They want that nib.
Yeah, and SGS taking the perfect opportunity. They're going to get that inhibitor very easily. They're not going to get a whole lot out of that. They actually, it's a 5v3, so they might be able to grab this inhibitor as well as Dyrus tries to stall off a little bit. And actually the rocket jump from Darkness getting into the middle of the team. Odd One on top of him, the Rumble ultimate as well, and TSM is trying to engage, but the Monsoon from Janna forces them out of there. They didn't quite have the damage to take him down, so they need to retreat. They aren't going to be able to quite take this tower in time. Maokai with the engage onto Tofu, he's very low, taking a lot of turret hits, will just barely survive.
Equivocal almost went down in his own also, but you know what? That is going to be plenty of time killed. But Reggie's respawning. If he ults, he can get something here. How many is he going to get? Triple kill
for Reginald
from the spawn. I have never seen so much cheering for someone spawning and hitting R.
Yeah, just absolutely phenomenal. That Karthus ultimate, it's the easy win for TSM. They can push back against them now. They still have that Baron on 3 of their members, so they can, counter out some of that. However, SGS has opened up an opportunity for themselves. They have that, inhibitor down, so they can continue to pressure TSM. However, TSM is in the driver's seat. They can push down in Singapore Sentinels, counter out some of that push in the bottom lane.
Here's the twisted advance right down onto the Malphite, right in his tower, and you know what? It's not going to be an issue. He has to use the ult just to clear distance, just to get away. Darkness can only do so much here. Massive 5-man push here from TSM here. Straight up in the mid is going to be at least another 10 seconds, and this is only going to be Jenny. You still got to wait another 20 seconds for Rumble and Gragas to actually get back into this. Odd One with the long range there on that twisted advance, and Darkness goes down immediately.
Yeah, so not only is TSM going to be able to get down that inhibitor, but they might take a lot more from SGS, so we'll have to see if they can push in on the Nexus. It might be kind of difficult with the Gragas, so they're going to back out of there, but inhibitor for inhibitor, and now they can transition into the bottom lane.
TSM, they're doing the safe route. They're doing the safe thing. Yes, they know they can still push a little bit more. They got a lot of time there with Darkness having 45 seconds until he comes back. That's plenty of time. Tank a tower, take that one down. Tier 2 in bot. Going to be going down, twisted advance down onto Charlie. He's going to be caught out there. A lot of damage coming out of Reggie. Zoni's Hourglass actually going down onto the Gragas, but here comes the barrels. Here comes the damage. Reggie will actually go down with the Malphite, but he already used that ult to try and get that triple earlier. But Malphite does go down. Darius going to pick that one up.
Yeah, so it is a trade, but SGS, they have to go back in their base. But I think that TSM doesn't have quite the follow-up with the Karthus wall. They can't, engage on them, so they will back off. It protects them, from that continued push. Especially actually going to walk over and steal that red, so Dyrus can pick it up. But actually, they're still sitting in the jungle, so SGS, they have to watch out for that pressure. But really nice job from both teams. The turnaround for TSM, almost winning the game outright there. And now Singapore Sentinels, they have to be very careful because they have the bot inhibitor. But if they push up through the mid, they can try and get the push going on to TSM, then transition into the top lane. Since TSM, they still don't have the top outer turret, there is the advantage for that for SGS.
Yep, and then the bot inhibitor actually for TSM should actually be respawning in just a little bit. And since they just took the one in mid, there's going to be a nice little timing attack window for a few minutes for when they can just continue to put on the pressure and pile all around. They just need to kill about another minute or so.
Yeah, and so they are going to come up, and try and stall off TSM. But the next fight for either team will likely decide who wins this game. So both teams are going to be playing very conservatively for a moment. They need to watch out that they don't, give either one an advantage. TSM in particular, they need to stay grouped together because their team fighting potential is phenomenal at this point. They're into that super late game where they have a serious advantage. However, if SGS can pick someone off like that Chaos earlier with the Gragas ultimate, then they could easily turn this around.
But we're hitting the super late game. You know what's a great item for super late game? Guardian Angel. Look at Chahi, he's got that one. And you know what? It's popular in some parts of the world, but it's still here. GA, stacking those late game on your huge damage carries. We've seen what it can do. It could definitely turn the fight around there for Sentinels.
Well, and one of the big things with that GA is it allows Gragas to get into that back line and potentially pressure down KX. And we had seen in the previous fight that SGS had won at the Baron. Hallelujah, he was able to shut down a lot of KX's damage. Darkness then getting into the back line. And with the attack speed slow, I think a lot of people forget about the attack speed slow that Gragas' barrel has. So Gragas' barrel's attack speed slow plus the attack speed slow from Malphite could easily shut down KX's damage if they can get into that back line and if Darkness can stay alive.
But also look at TSM. Hey, you guys bought a GA. How about this? We'll buy 2. Dyrus has one. Reggie has one also. And you know, Reggie's been focused down in these fights already. So not only for him to come back with the GA, but also have the zombie as well. That's going to be a lot of effort just to take him out.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to pick up any kills, so they really need to bide their time, wait for an opportunity to pick off Chaos in particular, because he's going to be the key target for SGS right now. But they will push up, then they're going to back off. And so constantly keeping TSM pushed, it actually is a really nice defensive play because it prevents TSM from ever having an opportunity to come into their base. They're constantly worried about counter pushing their own ways, and maybe it pulls them out of position a little bit. So SGS, if they transition from lane to lane, they can find those opportunities where they need to pick up those kills.
Baron should actually be respawning in about a minute or so. So with that, remember that is fantastic objective to press, and the inhibitor has respawned here for TSM, so they can go ahead and put down that pressure. Mid inhib for Sentinels is still going to be around, still going to be gone for a little while. So there is advantage TSM if a Baron fight does actually happen.
Yeah, and they are going to back off, get their items, then group up for that Baron once again so they can force it. Guys, this has been a phenomenal match. So once again, while we're waiting a second, just give these teams a cheer. TSM versus SGS, they've been phenomenal. It's been a really exciting series so far.
And look at this. With that cheer, Guardian Angel number 3 onto Chaos here. TSM, they're buying those things in bulk. They just went to Costco and got themselves a 3-pack. And you know, no one's going to be dying here on TSM.
Yeah,
really
how much would you pay for that GA?
I would pay quite a bit.
It's definitely a nice.
Oh, and actually, GA on the Darkness as well. 5 GAs in this game already. Jeez.
Oh wow! And the big thing with the GA on Darkness is he's been going down pretty quickly. When they lose the fight, when Darkness goes down, that's when Singapore Sentinels lose. However, Tristana, she's at her best when she can get into that back line, so they can really pressure KX. However, KX with that GA, that's going to be a serious issue for Singapore Sentinels, having to take him out twice. But Darkness, if he can get into the back line, take out KX, and then rocket jump out of there after that GA, that could work out for them. Reginald trying to hit the wall, and they're pushing in on SGS while that inhibitor is actually going to be respawning shortly, pressuring them into their base.
But with this, the Baron has respawned. TSM is now doubling on back. They may just go ahead, come back, and rush it. Reggie, he does have the damage. Karth is pretty good at taking those objectives and still so much damage down on the rest of the team. The mid inhibitor has respawned there for the Sentinels, but there's still going to be one more wave of super minions on pushing into that base. It's just a matter of what kind of push can TSM actually get. You got the Twisted Advance down onto Dover in the back line. You do have the Malphite ult coming on in as well. Gregus Barrel going on, focusing down on Reggie, but he just flashes right back in. No fear, wants to get all his damage down. GA going to be popped there for the first time around. Darkness is down in the back. He's trying to poke down anything he can get, but Reggie will go down a second time, trying to get down all that damage. And here comes on the ult. How much more can he front load on? He's not going to be getting killed. That plus the Zonia's on the Tofu actually going to be preventing that damage.
Yeah, but KX is sitting pretty. He's looking really strong right now. They have the inhibitor. It is very low. Charlie trying to force it. He doesn't have his barrel for another 30 seconds, but the big issue is if KX can turn this around. They didn't pop his GA. Darkness was able to hold on to his as well, but TSM, they can push in, grab this inhibitor, a couple more auto attacks, so they pick it up, and that is going to be a serious pressure onto SGS.
Oh, but Odd One, he's slowly getting away. He's just trying to edge off as much as he can. And you know what,
Charlie's ultimate's up.
Oh, it is up. And you know what, Dyrus also has his GA as well, but look, he has no mana really to fight with. There's the barrel coming on in response. Odd One going to go for a twist advance, and then Zonia is being popped down on Charlie. The Odd One actually goes down first. Darkness, his GA is going to go. Charlie's GA is going to go. But you know what? The support is gone. You're just going to go ahead and camp him out. Triple kill there for Chaos. Yeah, and that's the thing about the GA. If you're stuck, if you're in the middle of a fight, if you're surrounded when you come back, there's nothing going.
Yeah, and Shaw trying to get that. Shaw actually getting out. TSM not going to chase him down there, but the big thing was his barrel was up. He wanted to pick up a kill before TSM was grouped as a team because they recognized they need to pressure TSM outside of those team fights, but not able to hit the barrel that he wanted to, not able to get that perfect initiation, missed the team actually, and so TSM, they grabbed the second inhibitor. Bot is pushing extremely aggressively as well, and with 3 down, there's not a lot that they can do to stop them. They're going to probably be able to pick up this third inhibitor as well, but Hallelujah with the engage, the barrel onto Chaos. He is getting very low, but they don't have the sustained damage to deal with him. The body slam right into the middle of the team, but Chawi is going down, and TSM can turn this around. Hallelujah, he is stuck underneath the turret as well, but Chaos has the damage. He's actually very close to losing his GA.
He doesn't care. He's got his GA. He doesn't care. Dyrus, he's still got his too. GA being popped, but Chaos, he will be fine. You can get the damage too. You can just go ahead and get another quick kill there onto Malphite. But you know what? There's all the pressure needed. You do have all the super minions pushing as well. So now you got to worry about those Nexus turrets. Tier 3 bot going down. Reggie taking that one. And TSM, they just go ahead and fall back. You let the super minions do all the work. And while they're doing that, you can also go ahead and grab Baron.
Yeah, and KX losing that GA, it does leave him kind of vulnerable. However, with the inhibitors down, with the bot turret down as well, TSM is in a really strong position to continue, pressuring SGS, and they should be pretty safe. KX just maybe won't be able to be quite as aggressive as he was in the previous fights, but that's fine for TSM. They have the sustained damage. They're winning these longer fights from against SGS. The Baron is still up, so TSM, again, like you said, they can force that next to try and pressure them, but I think they're probably going to just walk right on down to the bottom lane, waltz on in, and take SGS's base.
Yep, and you also see Darkness actually sold back his Guardian Angel, bought himself a BF sword, realized, like, you know what? This game may not even go for 5 more minutes. I might as well just sell the thing and try and get more damage and try and be a factor in these fights.
Yeah, and you actually can't rebuy the Guardian Angel as well. It holds on to the cooldown even if you rebuy it. So recognizing that it's going to be just a vulnerability for him. TSM in the meantime, they're going to take down this Baron extremely easily. There is no pressure from SGS. So with the Baron down, with the 2 inhibitors, they can continue to pressure SGS's base, and it's going to be extremely difficult for them to hold off the push.
59:45 is when that Baron's going to be coming back up. I think with this push, I don't even think we're going to be seeing it respawn. They may very well just push for the game here. You got 2 inhibs down, you got 1 more inhib wide open, and with 1 more fight, TSM can just definitely take this. Dyrus still has his GA also.
Yeah, and so they are pressuring in. It's going to be very difficult for SGS, but if they can poke them down, if they can, maybe prevent some of KX's damage, they might have an opportunity. And there it is, the Shirelias, they're forcing the fight onto actually Reginald and KX. He's bursted down. KX goes down, and SGS, they might actually have this. They're turning it around with the damage from Darkness. The Karthus ultimate, though, it's going to take its toll. Tofu with the Zonias and Chawi as well, and they're chasing them down. SGS, if they can win this fight, they might be able to just push in and take TSM's Nexus. This is their one opportunity. Odd one goes down. The rocket jump from Darkness. He has Dyrus in his midst, so they can't pick up the third kill.
He cannot leave. The shutdown coming in. You saw the start of that fight, but look at the super minions that are trying to get their push on, but there's plenty of time. SGS, they cannot push on this. They have to stay back. They have to defend. They cannot really still leave their base at this point, but you saw the beginning of the fight. Reggie, everything engages, and he just leaves. He leaves because he wants to make sure he can actually get his ult.
Yeah, but it was over the wall. TSM didn't have vision, and it was the perfect initiation from SGS. I'm very surprised that they're actually not pressuring that TSM inhibitor. I feel like they needed to take advantage of that, and I'm kind of wondering if they feel like they can continue to win some fights, though. But KX, his GA will be down for a while, and just the quick burst onto KX, that was what instantly won the fight for them.
Reggie, he will have his GA actually back up in oh no, he sold it. He sold his. He's still got the cooldown on there though. He's got the Zonias on himself for just a little bit of protection there going on into these next 2 fights.
Yeah, so we'll see how TSM can turn this around, but actually going to the instant replay once again, we'll see the perfect initiation from SGS. Hallelujah, over the wall, no vision for TSM, and then bursting down Chaos and Reginald, the Gragas ultimate with the Rumble ultimate, the follow-up, and perfect initiation from SGS. Then the Zonias to turn it around and not allow Karthus to get that damage. Really incredible play from SGS. Darkness, perfectly fine, and that's the thing. The AD versus AD battle, if they can pick up the kill onto Chaos and keep Darkness alive, they're going to have these fights and be able to push back against TSM.
And you saw that barrel just throwing Reggie away from the fight entirely. He was just not an issue apart from the ult.
Yeah, but going back to the main game, we do see that TSM, they're getting ready for that mid push, but they do have to worry about SGS's presence. If they lose another fight like that, it might open up an opportunity for SGS to come back into this game. Darkness is incredibly well farmed right now, 300 AD damage. He also has the Last Whisper, but the attack speed, it's at like 2.3 when he has his Q activated, so that's just going to be phenomenal if they can keep him alive.
Darkness has rebought his GAs back up. Odd one, twisted advance right there, down on it to the Malphite. Malphite ult, not going to be getting a whole lot on that one. Tofu is out trying to get the flamethrower, trying to get something, trying to get anything. You got the Janna ult pushing Reggie away actually even further. But meanwhile, going on outside of the base, you got Tofu trying to take down as much damage on the Cax, but Cax will manage to get the kill on it to the Rumble. Malphite is not with the team. Dyrus is low. Chaw is slowed, and Cax might be able to go ahead and get all the damage he needs, forcing the flash out. Here comes the Karthus ult. Darkness will go down. Chaw is very low. This may be it. Here comes the GA, but I don't think he's going to be able to leave. There is the ace, and TSM with all this pressure, they got to take down and hit first. They all respawn. Okay, now you can go ahead and get those Nexus turrets.
Yeah, but TSM has it. They take the series 2-0 against Singapore Sentinels, and Singapore Sentinels, they tried to get the pressure on KX in the back line. Hallelujah, getting back in that back line, but didn't quite have enough armor or attack speed slow to shut down KX's damage. The true damage and the magic damage from KX was phenomenal. There's your winners for this winners round match, TSM.
Wow, 2-0 against the Singapore Sentinels. Fantastic work. And we're talking a lot about that late game. You have so many great late game champs. Tristana is a fantastic late game champ. Karthus, though, so much farm, 397 creep score.
Yeah, no, absolutely phenomenal. But Singapore Sentinels, they will go down into the losers.